Taylor Swift's secret struggles exposed crying face. The truth will break your heart. Crying face. Taylor Swift's story is often painted as glittering success, but behind the accolades lies a life shaped by pain, resilience, and relentless reinvention. Her journey did not begin on the world's largest stages, but in the quiet corners of childhood where she first discovered the comfort of songwriting. As a young girl in Pennsylvania, she crafted lyrics to Disney melodies when the original words ended, learning early that music was a refuge. Yet the path to becoming an artist demanded more than talent. It demanded endurance. At 11, Taylor walked into Nashville with demo CDs clutched in small hands. Record labels turned her away without hesitation. For many, such rejection would silence ambition. For her, it ignited something deeper. Guided by her mother, who drove her up and down Music Row, she learned what it meant to be dismissed, to be invisible, and to fight anyway. This early period planted the seeds of a truth she would confront repeatedly. The world does not hand victories to young women. It dares them to earn every inch. When she finally entered the country music scene, fame approached her with a smile and sharpened teeth. Outwardly, she was the curly-haired teenager with an acoustic guitar, celebrated as America's sweetheart. But behind the scenes, the scrutiny was immediate and unforgiving. Critics called her voice weak. They dismissed her lyrics as naive. They questioned the authenticity of her songs and mocked her emotional openness. Even as awards accumulated and stadiums filled, she battled constant commentary that attempted to shrink her talent. The cruelty extended beyond reviews. Tabloids feasted on her relationships, transforming her into a spectacle rather than an artist. What many failed to see was that songwriting was not simply a profession for her. It was survival, a way to process fear, heartbreak, and confusion. Then came the public moment that the world remembers but rarely understands. As a teenager accepting an MTV award she had earned, she was interrupted in front of millions, humiliated on a stage meant to celebrate her. Her stunned expression captured the heartbreak of a young woman whose triumph was abruptly stripped away. What followed was a storm of headlines and late-night jokes that turned her pain into entertainment. But this was only the beginning of the turbulent years ahead. Later, a second controversy would shatter her emotional foundation. Accusations, leaked audio, and a tidal wave of public fallout left her vilified. In an age where narratives shift at the speed of a trending hashtag, she suddenly became the villain in a story she never wrote. The toll was devastating. For the first time in her entire career, she stepped away from the spotlight. No interviews. No tours. No public appearances. The silence became a shield for a woman learning to breathe again after being crushed beneath global scrutiny. Her re-emergence was nothing short of a cultural earthquake. Through the album that followed, she confronted betrayal, rage, and broken trust, shaping her pain into art with a darker, sharper edge. Yet beneath the anger was unexpected tenderness, new love, and vulnerability that reminded the world she was still human. This period became a turning point, not just artistically, but personally. Instead of hiding from her wounds, she began transforming them into narrative power, reshaping her identity in ways no critic could diminish. Then, in the quiet of a world on pause, she reinvented herself again. With the creation of new introspective albums built on fictional narratives rather than personal autobiography, she escaped her own suffering through imagined lives and whispered stories. Critics who once dismissed her now declared her one of the most gifted storytellers of her generation. Her voice deepened, her tone matured, and her artistry reached emotional terrains she had never explored before. These albums served as sanctuaries for both her and the listeners who found solace within them. Just when stability returned, another crisis erupted, this time not emotional, but professional and deeply personal. Her entire catalog, the songs she wrote as a teenager and young woman, the music that carried her through grief and joy, was sold without her consent. It was a betrayal that cut to the core. Her life's work had been treated as a bargaining chip in a business transaction. Yet instead of succumbing to despair, she did the unimaginable. She reclaimed her voice by re-recording her albums, transforming an act of corporate exploitation into a revolutionary movement. Fans rallied behind her. The industry watched as she demonstrated that an artist can reclaim power even when it appears lost. These re-recordings were not merely commercial successes. They became symbols of autonomy, resilience, and the refusal to be silenced. Her next transformation unfolded on the global stage. With a tour that defied every expectation, she recaptured the world's imagination. Night after night, she delivered performances that stretched beyond 3 hours, sustained by an emotional connection that turned stadiums into intimate spaces. Her stamina became legendary, her presence electric, her vulnerability palpable. She was no longer the girl who trembled on stage after being interrupted. She had evolved into an artist who commanded the largest crowds in history with unwavering grace. And yet fame continued to cast long shadows, intense scrutiny of her private life, invasive tracking of her movements, and the pressure of living under constant public observation. Still, she pushed forward, propelled not by expectation but by purpose. Today, Taylor Swift stands as one of the most influential cultural figures of the 21st century, but her power did not emerge from perfection. It emerged from survival. She carries the scars of heartbreak, the sting of betrayal, the weight of global judgment, and the burden of reinvention. But she also carries the strength of someone who has embraced vulnerability as a form of courage. Her future is uncertain, not because she lacks direction, but because she refuses to be predictable. She evolves deliberately, defiantly, and fearlessly. Her story resonates because it mirrors the universal struggle to heal while being watched, to grow while being doubted, and to rise when the world expects you to fall. Taylor Swift's legacy is not defined by the magnitude of her fame, but by the resilience of her spirit. She has transformed pain into poetry, scrutiny into strategy, and heartbreak into cultural phenomena. And if her past teaches anything, it is that every time her world collapses, she builds something greater from the ruins. She is not simply an artist who found success. She is a woman who refused to break again and again, until the world could no longer deny her strength.